deal to join a team that's a dynasty right now. 3 titles in 4 years. And I'm going to tell you this, Antoine. I think you heard me say it before when we worked together. I know DeMarcus from Mobile, Alabama. Covered him at LaFleur High School. I know the guy as a hothead. I know that, you know, he can lose his cool, but I do know he's got a good heart, though. He did a lot of things in Sacramento with the kids, has done a lot of things in Mobile with the kids, and I'm in favor of this move. I was following a lot of the social media comments from people in New Orleans, and I saw the word snake being used quite a bit. They felt like the DeMarcus just left them high and dry, and you know they traded for him, and he didn't want to work with them for a sign and trade, and turned down the offer. But to me, he can't be a snake when he was only in New Orleans for 65 games. You can't. I can't be loyal to New Orleans just because they traded for me. He was in Sacramento, Antoine, for 6 years, and we've discussed this. To me, Sacramento is one of the worst run organizations in the NBA. In 6 years, these are the games that he won. 24, 22, 28, 28, 29, 33. Didn't even sniff the playoffs, Antoine. Wasn't even close to getting to the playoffs. And certainly this past year, he got injured when New Orleans went to the playoffs. So for a guy who's been on an island, but he's been balling, putting up numbers, and then the big money wasn't there. There was talk when he was with Sacramento that he was going to get the Supermax, $200 million. Maybe before his injury, he would have got 150 from New Orleans, and then the money dried up. For him to choose to go to the Golden State Warriors and have a great shot to be with the favorites to get a ring, I feel like that's a smart decision. I think he said he's playing chess and not checkers, and people are saying that's what the Warriors are doing. But to call him a snake and to say he's ruining the NBA and to say he's not loyal, I think all those are very inaccurate portrayals of Boogie Cousins.
Well, I got three things to say about this. The first thing is that I hate the move. I hate the fact that he signed there. I hate the fact that Kevin Durant signed there. I'm old school. You're going to continue to hear me say this. I guess this is something I'm going to have to continue to say dealing with these new generation guys. I do not like the move basketball-wise. He's an all-star. He's a top 15 talent in this league. Going to play with a team where you're going to get limited opportunities, to me, does not really make sense. Now, not really to contradict myself, but I also, from his point of view, if I'm taking it, and I'm going to just take it from if I'm DeMarcus Cousins' point of view, and it's kind of some of the things you just said. I like the move if this is what happened that's true. The reports are he got offered 2 years, $40 million.
During the season.
During the season. So if that deal was still on the table at free agency, and he turned it down, I understand why he turned it down. With New Orleans and the situation that New Orleans was in, he felt like he deserved the max, and they were building something. They were 27 and 21 when he got hurt last year. He was averaging 25, 13, and 5. Monster numbers. All-star, everything. Now, when he leaves, they go 21 and 13. They also sweep Portland in the first round and play a pretty competitive series against Golden State. It wasn't necessarily a pushover series. So DeMarcus Cousins probably feel like we're building something there. They're going to re-sign me. You know I'm working hard. You know I'm putting work, energy and effort in that's needed to get back to 100%. Why not sign me? I don't like to take credit, but I saw something that was really crazy. And it's 2 incidents that makes me realize that New Orleans probably didn't want DeMarcus Cousins. The first one, I don't know if you guys remember when Grant Hill was a free agent. I think he was leaving Detroit, and he signed with the Orlando Magic. He signed with the Orlando Magic in a cast, $90 million in the cast. That's how bad they wanted Grant Hill. The other incident, Chandler Parsons was hurt, signed for $95 million with the Memphis Grizzlies.
And they still upset about that deal.
Yeah.
So they still hurt.
Yeah, but that's what I think is going on with DeMarcus Cousins when it came down to New Orleans. Now, after that happens, and let me give you a little example of how free agency works. So on July 1, what ends up happening, I'm just going to take you through my free agency. On July 1, I got phone calls from 10 teams. And it's basically an introduction. Hey, Antoine, this blah, 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 New York Knicks, want you to know that we're interested in you. When can we get you out here on a visit to come visit us here in New York, blah, blah, blah. Don't really get into money over the phone with you.
Expressing your interest.
They don't really get over they just let you know they're interested, that you're on their radar. They'll love to get you to come out for a visit. I got it. 10 teams call me. You feel good about yourself. You're like, okay, cool. Now you go sit down with your agent and let's be realistic. It's like being recruited in college. I don't like them, I don't like them, I don't like them. I like these three teams. Let's see what the money is. Now your agent goes see what type of money it is. The money came up. Nobody had nothing. Everybody had the mid-level exception for me.
Right.
They had the mid-level exception for me. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I got to at least make 10 a year. The mid-level started at 5.5. I can't make 5.5. I'm coming off 20 and 10. So that threw me for a monkey wrench right there. I had to sit back and wait. So after my agent beat the phones and realized we get an outside party, the Miami Heat come in. Whoa, Shaq, D-Wade, Miami Heat. I never thought, the first day I didn't get that phone call from them. When they come calling, I'm like, okay, I got to go. How can we make this work? Lo and behold, they don't got the money. They got to do some signing trades and figure it out. The first thing Pat Riley said, I need you to call Shaquille O'Neal and tell him to take a pay cut. I said, what? He said, I'm going to give you Shaq's number, tell him you coming, but he needs to take a pay cut. At this time, Shaquille O'Neal could have signed for 3 years, $90 million, which would have been unprecedented at that time, back in 06, when guys were getting $30 million a year. That was unheard of. I called Shaq, talked to him. So Shaq ended up taking 5 years, $100 million. So Shaq tacked on 2 more years to his contract and took 20 a year instead of 30 a year. That's what Shaq did in free agency.
Okay.
Now, I'm telling this story to say with DeMarcus Cousins, it was some things that could have went on to happen. But I know what DeMarcus Cousins did. He said, you know what? The money out here ain't like that for me.
Right.
Okay. I need to get back 100%. That's why the money's not right. Everybody's talking about they want to make sure I come back from my injury. I've never been, to your point.
Never been to the playoffs.
Never been to the playoffs. I can go to the playoffs and get me a ring. Because you got to remember this. The reports that came out all week is that Cousins called them.
Yeah. Right.
They did not call Cousins. So he was trying to me, stick it to every team in the Western Conference or teams that the league itself.
Because they didn't call them and didn't show interest.
Well, or the teams that did, okay, since y'all don't want to pay me, I'm going to go play for Golden State, win me one.
Right.
And then I'm going to come back and be a free agent, show y'all I'm healthy.
Right. So it's safe to say he exercised a certain level of petty in this decision.
Without question. Because let me tell you why, now, the third thing, let me tell you why it's a bad decision. One, basketball-wise, great guy. He fits in offensively very, very well. He's skilled. He can pass. He can shoot the three. Offensively, he'll be fine. The biggest thing is that can he handle getting 7 to 10 shots a game?
Okay.
And can he be effective that way?
Okay.
The problem that's going to come is going to be two things. One, he's not very good defensively. He plays below the rim. He's not very good in the pick and roll. He's not very mobile. So now, Golden State's best lineup is the Hampton lineup that everybody says with Draymond at the 5.
Okay.
That's their best lineup on the floor. They're going to stay with that. That's what they win championships with, is with that lineup on the floor. That's their crunch time lineup. Can DeMarcus Cousins take a big game, national TV, and sitting the last 8 minutes of a game? Can he take that?
Let me ask you this. You've been on a lot of teams, and I've covered a lot of teams. When you're winning, a lot of times, things are okay. And we know the Golden State Warriors will win. So knowing the situation that he's in, trying to rehabilitate his image, do you think that'll allow him to embrace that or be okay with that? Because we're winning, and he knows he's on a 1-year deal, and teams are watching, and his payday is on the line.
you will hope he's going to get it. You will hope he's going in there with a mindset that I'm going to use Golden State. Golden State's not going to use me.
That's pretty good.
You know what I mean?
Pretty good.
That's the mindset you hope he go in there with. He's got to stay off the refs. But then he fits right into their team because they the team that complains the most.
Yeah, he can't stay off the refs. That's not possible.
Okay,
Him and Draymond. I think I heard you say him and Draymond. They can't stay off the refs.
So you got those two guys on the referees. That's my biggest thing with Cousins. I think he'll be fine in the locker room. I think when you got 4 All-Stars, I think they're going to welcome him with open arms because I know Golden State, even though he came cheap, I know for a fact, and I'm willing to go in, and I don't know this for a fact, but I know this for a fact, Bob Myers called the owners, called Steve Kerr, and called those 4 All-Stars and said, do y'all want to take him?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Do y'all want to take this? So as long as we all on board on what we got to do to get his mind right on the level that we're on, they did that.
And I know because I read DeMarcus himself. I'm sure ownership called them, but DeMarcus himself called those guys because they have played together on USA Basketball. He's played with Kevin Durant. He's played with Clay. And I know he called Steph and Draymond too and said, I'm thinking about coming here. Are y'all cool with this?
You know, there's so many pros and cons to this deal. And another thing, I like the fact that he chose to gamble on himself. You know, part of me wish I would have gambled on myself and took a 1 year instead of making Miami do all the trade. Take a 1 year, play well, we win it all. I'm free now in a big free agent market. It was more teams that had money the next year. So I like that. I like the fact he's gambling on himself, coming off a major injury, and show the world that. So I think he's going to have what you just said. I think he's going to use Golden State. Golden State's not going to be able to use him. He's going to come in with the right mindset. I just want him to realize he has to get healthy. He's a bigger guy. That injury is a very serious injury. Make sure he's 100% healthy before he gets back on the court. So if it takes, I know he's saying he's going to be ready for training camp, but if it takes him to January, maybe even February to be healthy, that's cool. Because your 10 points are going to be magnified when it comes playoffs. And you're playing all the way to June. So you got plenty of time to get yourself together. Play the last 4 or 5 months of the season. Hopefully he does that. And one more thing to add to that, you got to think. Golden State plays up and down.
Right.
They get up and down. Cuz they're not going to wait on Cousins pound and wait on him to post up. You know, so it's a lot. It's a crazy signing. I know everybody around the league is like, oh, it's not fair. You hear the fans. You see all the comments, the tweets, and people not watching the NBA no more. Cousins does not make them that much better. He doesn't fit into what they got going on. Offensively, he's gonna be able to do it because he can catch, pass, move.
Offensively, they're the Monstars.
Right.
Oh, without question.
And rebound too. They had a rebounding problem. He helps in that regard.
Yeah. That's a big point
Helps
too.
in that regard.
But it's 3 to 4 teams in the league that he can't play against. Portland Trail Blazers.
Okay.
OKC. Houston Rockets. He can't play against those teams. They're going to put him a ton of pick and rolls, and those are teams you're going to face in the playoffs. Those are high volume, big time pick and roll teams. They're going to put them because this is the thing. We got to get back to your boy. Mm-hmm. They've been covering up Steph Curry. It's tough to cover up too.
And DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah. It's going to be tough to cover up too. You got to cover up 2 guys now. So that's why I say they still going back to their Hampton 5. They'll be in that way. Steve Kerr will figure out a way during the season. If DeMarcus Cousins is healthy, the regular season, I can see the regular season, DeMarcus Cousins playing 25, 30 minutes a night during the regular season. But when it gets to playoffs and those matchups, it gets tight. Steve Kerr pulls that. That's what he learned from Phil Jackson. He pulls those cards. The way he played JaVale McGee and Jordan Bell and Zaza and Looney, Looney, those guys in the playoffs was purely off matchups.
Yeah.
And he didn't care.
Because if Houston still re-signs Clint Capella and then Capella is in the game, then that allows you to play DeMarcus Cousins. But then we did see sometimes that Houston will go
Clint
small.
Capella can move his feet. We're talking about a slow-footed guy coming off an Achilles injury and plays below the rim. We know DeMarcus Cousins is going to rebound. We know he's going to block a shot. I mean, you go into him, he's going to block a shot. But when their best basketball is getting down the floor, is DeMarcus Cousins going to run the floor and sit in the middle? No. He makes you some trail threes. I mean, it's a lot of things.
He got something to prove, though.
But one thing I do like it, he's so skilled offensively that he'll be able to fit in. Because you got to be able to put the ball on the floor, pass, and shoot to play in Golden State.
Right.
And he can do all three of them.
One thing I heard a lot of people talking about too is, to what you said, he doesn't have to hurry back because Golden State is going to be fine. So it's no urgency. You know, there was maybe some talks about him going to the Lakers or maybe going to Dallas. If you're on either of those teams, it's an urgency. All right, we got LeBron. What would it be like if we had DeMarcus? He needs to get back. Certainly with Dallas. You know, obviously we got Dennis Smith and we got Luka Doncic. We need DeMarcus out here to see what we'll be. It will be no urgency to get DeMarcus Cousins back. And also, since he doesn't have to hurry back, he can sit back and learn and be with Steve Kerr and get to know Steve Kerr and what Steve Kerr expects. You know what I mean? It's not like as soon as training camp comes, I got to go to training camp and I have to learn the offense and everything has to be done in such a short time frame. Since he doesn't have to hurry back, he can take his time to learn where he fits, learn what Steve Kerr expects, and once he is inserted into the lineup, whether that is Christmas, whether that is January, he should feel a lot better about how he fits with the team because he will have developed some sort of relationship with Steve Kerr and knowing the system.
I look forward to it, though. I mean, I know it does 5 All-Stars. I mean, and then to add a guy in the top. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins is in a lot of people's top 10, not alone their top 15. So to add a guy like that, they're going to be very good. They're going to be the favorites, heavy favorites to win the title again. They're going to be very difficult to beat. It'll be interesting to see if Houston's able to put together a team that's going to be able to compete. I do not like the team they're putting together right now. It's kind of early in the summer, so we'll wait that out. But right now they're heavy favorites because nobody else has built their team unless OKC can get it together. And I like them going around the second time around.
You mentioned OKC, so that is the other big free agency announcement. Paul George, 4 years, $137 million. When Paul George said he wanted out of Indiana, he said he wanted to go to the Lakers. Many people felt like it was a huge gamble on the part of Oklahoma City that Paul George would be a one-year rental, but Sam Presti felt like once he gets to OKC, we can convince him to stay. Some people still felt like the Lakers would have a chance to get him. Now the Lakers might regret not trading for him initially. But your take on, we saw, I guess, when free agency opened up, Russell Westbrook flew back from his vacation. They had a huge party. Nas was there. Paul George was in the house. Carmelo Anthony wasn't at that party. But
Yeah.
Paul George
I think-
is going to stay there in OKC.
You know, you saw Russell Westbrook, I think, is the main reason he stayed. I think he understands how good Russ is, how hard he works, his determination. You can tell they built a relationship off the court, which is huge. They believe that they can build and win something. Both of those guys are kind of in the same situation as far as trying to get their game to the next level without superstars on their team. Even though Paul George is coming from more of a situation where he was the franchise player, but you can also consider that Kevin Durant was the franchise player for OKC. So both of those guys are trying to get over the hump. I'm excited about this. I'm glad. I thought it was great. It keeps the balance in the league to be able to keep them just a two stars in the team. But also they still got Carmelo Anthony. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Steven Adams. But to be able to believe that you guys learn from each other that first year, understand the mistakes that you made, know the work that you got to put in to get to that next level. I'm excited about them. A lot of people are not talking about OKC right now, but they are going to be my team to watch. They're going to be must-see TV. I'm looking forward to watching these two guys perform. And I think Paul George, you look at the deal, and it's funny, he did the little special on ESPN, and he said, you know, LA was my first choice. And like you said, the Lakers made a mistake in not trading for him, believing that they can get him in the free agent market. And it's kind of the same thing that's going on with Kawhi Leonard right now with the Lakers. If you're going to go ahead and make the move, go ahead and make the move. But because anything can happen. And I'm glad to see this. That party shows the icing on the cake to see how those guys interacted, to have the behind the scenes of how they interacted, to bring Nas, to be embraced by Oklahoma City. And I look forward to big things from them. I believe they're going to, I'm more excited about them than LeBron going to the Lakers. I'm excited.
Why would you say that?
because you got two guys that are going to be future Hall of Famers. They're together. You got MVP, guy that's averaged back-to-back triple-doubles. I think Paul George is comfortable. He's healthy. He came on late last season when he started to play his best basketball. I think they figured it out how they can be good together. They got pieces in place already. When you think about Steven Adams and regardless of whether people like it or not, they still got Carmelo Anthony for another year.
Andre Robinson.
Andre Robinson will be back healthy. They signed Jerry Grant, another athletic guy to go alongside them. And I'm pretty sure they're not finishing the free agent market. But I'm excited about them. I think if we're talking about these guys are considered top 10.
Paul George.
And Westbrook.
Westbrook, yeah. Westbrook, yeah. I don't know if Paul George.
Okay, top 12.
Paul George?
Yeah, he ain't too far out. When you,
okay.
I
won't go back and forth about that.
Yeah, but you put those two guys in there. So I'm excited about that. And hopefully they can get over the threshold. Now, when you talk about coaches and Luke Walton, I don't necessarily know if Billy Donovan might not be the coach for that. But that's for another day, another subject.
Yeah, because I think you had it before. You don't even believe that Billy Donovan's a cutout to be an NBA coach.
Right,
period.
So that's for another day. But I like this move. I'm more excited about this move. I'm proud of Paul George for balancing it out. And the ball's I'm not meeting with Magic. I don't need to meet with him. I'm staying right here.
Grant them.
I'm staying right here.
Meeting.
I don't need to meet with Magic. I'm staying right here.
But that was part of OKC as well, saying we can do this for you, and this is the kind of money that we can give you, and this is what we're trying to build. They wanted to make sure he didn't meet with Magic because once you sit in the room with Magic, people feel like that smile, that personality, Magic is going to seal the deal. So we gonna have to make sure you didn't get to that.
And that's what
smart decision.
And that's what Paul George probably didn't want to do. He probably didn't want to hear all the, he didn't want to get recruited like you get recruited going to college, and everybody tell you and promise you so many things. And I'm excited, man. Keeps the balance. I like go beat the best.
You like the competition?
Yeah, I love it. Beat the best.
Still to come, we're going to hear from James Brewer. He is in the studio. He's been tabbed as one of the best financial advisors in Chicago. He has an MBA and is a certified financial planner. We're going to get more into the business side of the NBA. We'll talk contracts. We'll talk about athletes trying to hold on to their money and things of that nature. Stay with us. Southside Heat coming right back.
You ready?
I'm ready. These aren't turned on yet, though. I'm supposed to have these turned on?
Yeah.
That's it. That's that right there. I don't know which way it's up and which way it's down.
Oh. You hear anything? You hear anything? You hear anything now?
Yeah.
Turn me up.
I can hear it outside myself.
Yeah, that kind of might throw you off. It'd be good if it's coming through your headphones.
We got the mics on, but I can't tell.
Yes, I know. You want to try that mic over there?
Mics on.
Yeah, about this mic.
I don't know how that'll be in terms of the Facebook.
Just swing your Facebook around.
Yeah, he might just be able to do the headphones. There you go. I definitely know those ones. Good.
Yeah, I can hear.
All right. So James, you want to talk about salary cap, or you want to talk about guys trying to hold on to their money and other obligations and things of that nature? Which one you feel most comfortable with?
Guys, hold on to the money.
Okay, all right. We still got the big three. That's one.
I did him.
Huh?
It's for the big three and play it out.
You just want to do it at the end? I want to talk about it a little bit. You know what
I said let's talk about
and
it.
then play it out.
And then play it out.
Can we turn this down a little bit? Is that him?
once we start
Oh,
talking,
it won't be as
yeah,
loud.
you won't hear the music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you won't hear the music once we start talking.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
So I'll just put it here.
Yeah.
Until you start. Okay.
We're back on the Southside Heat. Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker, as we continue the NBA discussion. We are now joined by James Brewer, certified financial planner. He's been tabbed as one of the best financial advisors in Chicago, earned an MBA from NIT, and is really about financial literacy. That means a lot to him. He's real strong in that area. James, thanks for being with us here on the Southside Heat.
Thank you for having me. Just for clarification, that is MIT, very near to where Antoine used to play, not to the NIT. So I just want to make sure that we're clear, because people can't get confused.
No, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT.
Thank you very much.
That's where you got your MBA from.
Thank you very much.
So we talk so much about guys and the big money deals. LeBron James, 4 years, 154. Certainly Paul George, 4 years, 137. Even Chris Paul, he's going to get $40 million a year. But that's not necessarily going to go in their bank account, James, because they have a lot of other, things that come out, whether it's taxes, whether it's agents and things of that nature. And this is something that Antoine really liked to get into quite a bit. Just because you might sign for 160, you certainly don't see 160 in your bank account.
That is absolutely true, and ultimately it's what you keep, not what you make.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people, especially when you are a rookie, let's say, and you've never had a job, you don't even really know what taxes are. Right? You never even filed an income tax. And suddenly someone says, hey, you got, I think, the first round pick this year might get $8 million. They got some rules.
DeAndre 8, yep.
Right, okay. So we got some rules. He might get 8. And he's like, oh, man, I'm going to go out and start spending some money because I'm making 8. He doesn't really understand that at some point there's this thing called taxes, and there's federal taxes.
And state taxes.
And state taxes.
Yep.
So, earlier you were talking about people going to a bunch of different teams, right? And you got teams in California, you got teams in Florida, you got teams in different states. Well, different states have different tax rules.
Right.
So some people might not be thinking, or some people may be thinking, that depending upon where I go, I actually get to keep more because the state's not going to take it.
James, so let me give you, do you represent an athlete?
I don't have one today.
You don't have one today, okay. So let me give you an example. My first year I came in the league. My first year's salary was 3 years, $5.5 million. And when you break it down year by year, the first year was $1.6 million. Obviously playing in Massachusetts, you know how the state taxes are out there. I had a couple of things that I wanted to do right away. Obviously my mom, I come from challenged backgrounds. I wanted to make sure that my mom, I get my mom a house. Obviously I had to get a place to live, a couple cars. I'm the oldest of 6. So I assumed a ton of responsibility, and let me add on top of that, I was 19 years old. So the couple purchases that I made were, my mom's house was $500,000, my condo was $300,000. Out of 1.6, I saw probably 800-some thousand, after taxes. So after my first year, I'm in debt. So just imagine if you were representing one of these guys. Let's say DeAndre 8, the first pick, and he has 4 or 5 things kind of similar to what I had that I had to do or wanted to do, becoming pro. How would you direct him to be able to still do those things for his family, but also making sure you're starting to plan in his head the future?
Well, I always appreciate people who want to take care of loved ones, and sometimes there's an expectation, especially if you are a male, that you are going to do certain things. But what I like to do is kind of slow the roll down, right? and start to say, so what are your expectations? You know, in the NBA, especially being young, the lightest contract is the first one, right? Because we
Correct.
really want to get to the next contract.
That second and third contracts when the big money comes.
Yes. So if we say, well, maybe we can kind of supersize some of the things that you want to do in the future contracts, and maybe in the short term, we look and say, based upon what you know. I'm trying to remember his name. Was it Alton Taylor? Yeah. It was an Indiana basketball player. It'll come back to me in the 80s. Well, before he could get drafted, his name might come to you. Before he could get drafted, he got into a car wreck, and he actually never made it into the league. He played at IU. I'm a Hoosier, so I kind of understand this. Okay, so when you have, who knows what's going to happen? But now, if you start to spend money you don't have, I think some people are also assuming future contracts that I'm going to get some money that might get me out of this. But if we slow it down and say, okay, based upon what we know today, let's explain to you this tax thing that's going to happen. And sometimes they got these funky rules depending upon what city or state you're playing in. There's an extra tax that happens to hit some players as well. So let's make sure that we slow down and we understand that. So I don't know, maybe it's a little bit less house, maybe it's a little bit less car. You know, there's always a future to actually make things bigger and make sure that we don't start you off in debt. We try to have you start to live within that. And plus, in the future, there's going to be a day and time where you're not going to be playing. And, well, I don't know what your future career plans are, but some people think that you might be making enough to live for the rest of your life. Well, there's a way to calculate to see how much life you would have if that's the truth. I don't think it is for most people, so let's just slow it down. Let's put together a plan and have you understand some things, especially if you're 19, 20 years old and really haven't had a chance to be out there and even have a first paycheck tax just to even know what the word FICA is.
You don't think some of the athletes make enough for their whole life? If we're looking at a guy, just say like a Dante Exum, and I think he might be Antoine, maybe 22, 23 years old for the Utah Jazz. This is like his second deal. He signed 3 years, $33 million. That shouldn't be enough, even if he's 22, to last for the rest of his life, because most Americans will never see that in all their working years. So shouldn't he be able to, with some smart investments, make that last?
Well, most Americans won't make that, but then that means they won't spend that. Right? So for most people, it's really a spending issue. You know, tomorrow, whoever the richest person is, we could spend all their money. Right? Like tomorrow, there's stuff to go buy. We could spend all the money. So I think that the challenge for people who think it's going to work for the rest of their life is that things get more expensive over time.
Okay.
Right? Like contracts that, you know, were big time, you know, in the 80s. Now, like, is that like a bench player? I mean, you know, that's not a player who's playing a lot, right? So over time, there's this thing that just, you know, things that you want to pay for get more expensive. Cars being one, they just get more expensive. So most people are thinking in today's dollars, the formal word's inflation. Most people are thinking in today's dollars. They're not thinking in 20, 40, 60 years from now that what was costing me $1 today is going to cost me $4 in the future.
Right.
So that quickly discounts any money that you're making in terms of salary, on top of the fact that you still have this spending thing. So in a way, almost the issue becomes for everybody what you spent. So even when you talk about the $33 million, we didn't say that the taxed value of that.
Right.
So James, are you you know, every financial advisors are different in their approach and how they're going to invest your money, save your money. Are you a aggressive saver? Are you a guy that leans more on the side of let's save more?
Yes. So I am a certified financial planner. There's a school of thought with certified financial planning. We have to take 5 different courses. Some have to do with kind of the budgeting, and they call it financial foundations, retirement planning, investment planning, tax planning, estate planning. Then we have to pass a board exam. So it's kind of a big deal, and hopefully we can get more black folk, because I was quoted in an article that there's a problem. We don't have that many of us compared to the population. There are certain things that are more in our control. We can control more of our saving. We can control more of our spending. The markets do what the markets do. We can, even the smartest diversification still has got to see an up and down. Most people have an emotional reaction to seeing their money go up and down, especially if they're living totally on their investments. So for me to lean on, the fact that it's all about investments, I think it's a risky proposition. And, there have been a lot of athletes that have gotten burned, which is one of the reasons I think the NFL, just switching sports, the NFL Player Association has come up with this registered advisor. And they recently changed the rule that to be, part of their program, you either have to be a CFP or something called a chartered financial analyst. The chartered financial analyst is the one that typically does more with investments and not so much the, I call it the well-rounded aspect of what we do, because they're realizing that people are sometimes getting advice, let's say, that they want to hear, not advice that they should be hearing. Okay. And then sometimes you get into investments that paid somebody really well, but the next thing you know, it goes belly up. They are still doing well, and you aren't.
I wonder, how can athletes or people of high net worth really pick somebody that they can trust? I think there have been athletes. I think Clinton Portis was one that maybe came out, Antoine, that where you get with somebody and they're moving your money around or kind of taking your money and not even investing your money. What's the best way to try to vet a financial planner to make sure that you get, good service and don't get taken?
Well, hopefully we can post this later on, but I wrote an article that CNBC.com featured. It was like, how do you know if you can trust your financial advisor? Okay. So one thing is credentials. Often most people sound good, they're likable, hopefully I'm likable too out here. But then underneath that, well, is there some competence? Like exactly what is that? So sometimes people think, well, if the person works for, I don't know, XYZ name brand firm, I don't want to name them because I'll get in trouble, okay, but like XYZ name brand firm, they got a business card, hey, they must know what they're doing, right? But unfortunately, there's lots of credentials in this industry. I feel bad for everybody trying to figure them out. So there's certain people who simply get compensated on selling you things. Another problem that athletes have, in particular in people with high net worth, is that they might be called what's called an accredited investor. So if you have $1 million, so suddenly when checks get paid to people, like these first round picks, they will become an accredited investor overnight, basically because they have $1 million sitting in the bank somewhere. So there are things that can get sold to them that other people, quote unquote, can't get into. Okay. But it assumes that they actually have some level of savvy. Well, unfortunately, a lot of the people haven't had an opportunity to become savvy, right? They're enjoying the fruits of their, labors and their hard work in the gym, but not necessarily, I had to go and learn this thing. So I think it's important to actually understand and ask questions. There's a word called fiduciary. Basically, it means I have to work in your best interest or put your interest ahead of my own. Ask the advisor, do you have to put your interest ahead of my own when it comes to my money? Okay. And make sure you have some level of understanding. I even think a potential good idea is you have someone who doesn't touch your investments, someone that you run the deals by, and you say, hey, JB, in my case, what do you think about this? Third party, I have no dog in the fight whether or not Antoine invests or he doesn't invest. Right? But I'm just going to go and give him good advice based upon my knowledge to help him understand that what somebody else is trying to put him in, rather than necessarily him try to go and become a chartered financial analyst or a CFP in the off season. But at least you have someone, right, that kind of has an arm's length away from your money. But there is going to be somebody who's going to invest it. But I just think finding someone you can feel good about that does have some competence that you can go to, who understands your complete situation.
And even to add to that, and as James, as you, I'm pretty sure you're trying to represent guys in the future here. Just a couple, just being an ex-player, guys who had financial troubles and dealing with financial people and going through my trials and tribulations. I think the biggest challenge that you're going to have is to teach a 18 to 22-year-old about generational wealth. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, to be able to get them, sit them down and understand that, look, let's start with this first contract, not knowing what's going to happen with the second contract, and teaching them about generational wealth, because you are right, it is, the average person don't see that type of money. And a lot of average people are able to put together a financial plan where they're able to save money for their kids. I think young athletes, I was like this myself, we think we can play forever. And, for whatever reason, we believe it's never going to end. And we don't think about generational wealth. And the type of money that athletes are making now, I mean, they're making enough money for their kids' kids, and their kids. I mean, they're making that type of money now. So I think that's going to be a big thing. And then also, getting that word, knowing their vocabulary. It's going to be tough to do.
Yeah.
As you embark and you take on this, and I love some of the points that you made and some of the ideas that you have, but when you embark on this journey, it's going to be tough to get that word, knowing their vocabulary, because it's some people, some family members, some friends that feel like they've been on that journey with them. Whether they bought them a pair of shoes, whether they took them school shopping,
drove you to practice, picked you up.
Yeah, got them some school supplies. They become a part of the list. So I think that's where you got to have thick skin in the game, and where you're able to let the guy know, look, I'm here for your interest, not here for everybody's interest. And it's kind of hard to say that, to tell somebody you're here for their interest and not their mom and dad interest. But that's the point where you're gonna have to be in this, and that's why I love this conversation so much. When guys want to get into this field and embark and to help young athletes, because the percentage is so high of guys going broke and not doing the right thing with their money, but it's just from a lack of education and having that process, but also knowing that it's things that they just gonna want to do. You're gonna get a player that just want to rap. He gonna want to spend. He gonna want to spend.
Gotta have my budget.
He gonna want to spend. He gonna want to spend a couple $100,000 in the rap game, and you're gonna be like,
why?
What are we doing over here? You know what I mean? But that's the type of things that you got to be ready and prepared for. So going forward, but I love your ideas and takes on certain things. But also remember that, because I think if it's one thing that I got out of this, and I would tell any young athlete, it's the generational wealth part. We got to think about that. You're making that kind of money where you can secure yourself, your person, secure yourself, but also your kids. If you have kids one day, wife, family, mom, dad, and you don't have to worry about that. But a lot of guys just don't think like that.
James, we do appreciate your time. We appreciate your expertise. We appreciate everything that the information that you share with us, and hopefully somebody will take something from this. Antoine?
Yeah, but James, I challenge you to let's both of us come back again and let's put together a show where we give kind of the answers to the test for a lot of these guys, a lot of listeners, so that where we can kind of educate them and kind of go down maybe the top 5 things that guys need to look out for, and we get into it. To come back on the show again, that this is something that I've been able to do, and over the last couple of years ago, I would speak on financial literacy. I don't have the expertise that you have. I just can go off my own trials and tribulations, but it's always good to have somebody who has some trials and tribulations, and then you got the answers to the test. So we'd love to, let's get together and try to put together, do another show, especially over the next couple of weeks, where we put another show where we can educate the viewers on some of the things that's going on. They even help the regular person.
All right, I'm in. I'm in.
We'll have to set that up then,
Yes, sir.
and make that happen. Still to come on the Southside Heat, the Big 3 was in Chicago. We spoke to some of the players to figure out why they wanted to get involved with the league, and we'll tell you who are some of the winners from the Big 3 in the Windy City. Stay with the Southside Heat, coming right back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, apparently you like what I said because you invited me back.
I'll tell you, that's the first I heard of anybody back.
Well, that's why I thought I better get my yes on track.
Now you can tell this something you've been working on for a while, right, Antoine? You've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you was here, man. With that.
Yeah, we need to put together something good, answer to the test.
I like that concept though.
Yeah.
Answer to the test.
Yeah, because we can always talk about it, but we never, never get a solution. We just talk. We could dissect somebody's situation, what they should have did, what they shouldn't did, and we never be like, these are some of the things that you're gonna have, the challenges you're gonna have. Like it's like we was arguing on like, should you rent a house when you first come out instead of buying a big house?
Why not?
Just go ahead and rent one. I mean, that's the test.
I like renting to give you an opportunity to think about it and learn about it before you make a big commitment.
You talking about house or women? Which one?
I mean,
Let's come back, man.
you showed up trying to give me
I still want to do some free agency stuff too. Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker, Southside Heat. We continue the NBA discussion. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Twan Walker 8 on IG. Twan Walker 8. I am C Townsend TV on Instagram. Antoine did want to add in the Dwight Howard move, so to speak. Many people feel like as soon as you can sign, he's going to be bought out by the Nets, and he's going to head over to the East there and join the Washington Wizards. We know Marcin Gortat, he had got traded to the LA Clippers. It seems like D12 has been a cancer, and the Wizards have already had issues in the locker room. I just don't know about that fit there with him in Washington.
I think it'll be a good fit. I think he's in a situation he's playing with a great point guard in John Wall, who's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I follow John Wall on social media, especially being a UK Wildcat. He's in the gym already, putting in the work that's needed for next season. Bradley Beal was an all-star this year. I think he'll fit in well for them. As Dwight Howard gets older, and Dwight Howard is coming off a very productive, one of his best seasons in about the last three. Averaging 16 and I think 13 for the season. So I think he's in the right mindset. The big thing about Dwight Howard, I think, and we all got to understand, is that you got to baby him a little bit. He's just one of those guys you got to baby a little bit. I think Washington has to get better. Roster needs to get better. They picked up Jeff Green too in the process. I think I like him better than Marcin Gortat.
Yeah. I definitely think so.
I think they upgraded in that position, and to get him at the value that they're getting him at, you can't pass that up.
When you look at the restricted free agents, certainly the key guys have received qualifying offers like a Clint Capella, Marcus Smart, Zach LaVine, Jabari Parker. But Antoine, it's just been a tough market overall. We discussed what DeMarcus Cousins had to do. Even I'm surprised that Julius Randle only got a deal for 2 years, $18 million, and we're seeing all these guys sign 1 year deal. We didn't even talk about DeAndre Jordan with the Dallas Mavericks.
I don't necessarily like that. I thought Julius Randle shorted himself.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't know what these guys be thinking about. A young guy like that needs to be looking for a 3-4 year deal, some stability, make him some money. For him to take a 2 year deal, he played very well last year, was really good for the Lakers. Maybe panicked a little bit, maybe was surprised that the Lakers kind of renounced his rights and
threw him off
a little bit, and probably jumped on the first offer that came his way. Like I just told you, in this free agent process, this year has been the quickest free agent signings I've ever seen.
Because
guys are not even visiting teams. They're not.
Right.
I'm not saying you gotta. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying this is not college. You got to go visit a bunch of teams, but they're not even weighing their options unless everything is just unless it's just stuff that's going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing. But guys usually take 4 or 5 days before they make decisions like this.
See, but I think a lot of teams don't have cap space. the market is tight.
Oh, I knew that. I told you that. I said the guys are going to it's going to be tough this year.
Right. So I need to go ahead and get a deal before the market dries up.
The money dry up.
And then I'm out here bad. That's kind of why DeMarcus was like, all right, let me go ahead with the Warriors, because then I might end up not getting as much money as I would like. I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 for somebody I don't even want to be with. So I could take a 1-year deal, less money with the Warriors, and try again in free agency next year. How do you think things will play out, though, for a guy like Marcus Smart? You familiar with the Boston situation. He felt like, he deserved like 12 to 15 per year. He in the same class as Dante Exum, who got 3 for 33. Julius Randle, they got 2 for 18. The money is just not there. When you restrict it and it's a qualifying offer, you need somebody else to offer you something, for you to have some leverage, and nobody really has money.
I think it's one of those situations where guys have got to gamble on themselves. And it's always tough because they work so hard, especially a guy like Marcus Smart, whose opportunities could be limited a little bit more this year now that Kyrie's healthy and Gordon Hayward, so he may not get the same opportunity. But you got to gamble on yourself and take a 1-year deal.
Okay.
And try to come back next year. I think that's what guys have got to do. I think Marcus Smart's probably right now pressing. Danny Ainge is reluctant to pull the trigger because he has to take care of, Terry Rozier's coming up, Kyrie Irving's coming up. He's probably a little reluctant to take care of Marcus Smart. Then you don't know how Marcus Smart fits in. But I do know this for a fact, that Brad Stevenson loves Marcus Smart.
Okay.
And wants him to be a part of that team. And Marcus Smart brings a unique toughness to that team that every team needs. So it's tough. I mean, look at Jabari Parker. Look at all these guys.
Clement Capella and Zach LaVine.
Nobody's offering them big money right now, and it's because the market is tight. But gamble on yourself. 1-year deals are not bad. And if you're 23, 24 years old, there's nothing wrong with waiting 1 more year, getting you a 1 for 10, 1 for 12, and going out there and playing again, especially if you're in a position where you're going to still get valuable minutes on the team.
But what about Jabari, who's had the injury history when you had 2 ACL? Like,
right,
he kind of different, right?
Right, but that's what teams he should be really looking for a 1-year deal because he can gamble on himself, show he's healthy. Whether that's staying in Milwaukee or going somewhere else and show the world that he's 100% healthy.
But what if you get injured again? I mean, that happens, though. Like, what if you
I'm pretty sure all these guys are going into it looking for financial security. But if it's not there, you can't press it and dry up where you don't get anything. But if I got a chance to get me anywhere between $8 to $15 million for 1 year, I'm going to take that chance. You look at J.J. Redick, the market was huge last year, had an unbelievable season. He signed a 1-year, $23 million deal. Now he had to sign a
1 year, 12
or $13 million.
Yep.
Amir Johnson last year signed a 1-year, $12 million deal, playing for the league minimum right now. So so you're looking at a couple of guys right there. You look at KCP in LA. He signed a 1-year, $18 million deal, took a $6 million cut to go back to the Lakers. So these young guys have got to look at that, and you got to gamble on yourself and believe that it's a market next year.
So you think, regardless of the individual situation, you said Marcus Smart, gamble on yourself. You think Jabari, injury history, gamble on yourself. Zach LaVine and Clint Capella, all those guys, 1-year deals.
Yeah, because if your team does not want to take care of you and give you a long-term deal, I'm going to take a 1-year deal, and they can lose you for nothing.
Now, the Bulls, I'm sure, are interested in giving Zach LaVine a long-term deal. It's just, does he want the money? Does he want more money? Because, Aaron Gordon got the 4 for like 84.
The Bulls want somebody to put it out there. And that's the difference. You see the difference is when you want somebody, you just pay them.
Okay. Like Orlando wanted Aaron Gordon, so he just paid him.
They paid him. It's just like, you got these young guys got to realize that. Like, they're coming off major injuries. When you come off ACLs, and these teams they're reluctant to pay guys coming off big injuries. They're reluctant to do it.
What I heard out there for Zach was around 4 years, 60, and I'm sure you read the reports. Nick Friedel put that out there, and Zach commented on Twitter with like the crying face emoji, like 4 years, 60. I'm worth more than like 15 per year. Do you think Zach 4 years, 60 is in the range, or should he be closer to the Aaron Gordon?
Well, this is that time of year coming when we always get, where guys look at what somebody else got.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. Well, if this guy getting 20 year, why is I'm only getting 15? You ain't did anything to deserve $20 million. They want to pay you off potential, but that's what the league is set up. But I think right now, and this free agency record, everybody's getting that wake up call. Everybody's getting that wake up call internally. Look at Norris Noel. You turned down $70 million. You playing 2 years league member.
My goodness.
Now OKC. I mean, it's so many situations that we can talk about. We can go on for days about guys blowing opportunities, not taking the money when it's not there. That's why we had the huge disagreement last week, is because, and I know you say, well, this money, right? It's tough when the money in front of you. You gotta take it, because when once it flips around and they got control, they're gonna do it to you. That's why I'm not mad at Kawhi Leonard, because he's in control right now. And he's not. This is the only time probably in his career where he's going to be in control.
Right.
So I'm not mad at him because he's controlling his future. I just think, I look at some of these guys. It's so funny, and I look at Golden State and Kevin Durant continually giving, Golden State a pay cut. Like, for what? Like, it's crazy to me that I see some of these guys that want to do something. It's even LeBron, unless it's somebody like LeBron James, that's close to probably going to be $1 billion athlete, where he left a little on the table. I get it, but it's not. Guys shouldn't do that. You got to get your money while you got the opportunity, because now you look at this free agent market right now, and the money's dried up, and the cap is going to continue to get even tighter and tighter. It's going back to where it was.
Wow.
It's coming back. I mean, they had a great year this year, and I'm going to tell you why. People are mad and upset. Adam Silver may have to change the playoff format. And we don't have to get into this right now. We can say this for another time. But they may have to change the playoff format to balance this out. That's how bad the DeMarcus Cousins signing was.
Just a 1 through 16.
And LeBron going to the West, going to LA. Because it's getting bad right now. You think about it right now. We're all huge NBA fans. We watch the game. It's pretty much our job to watch it. But who watching the East? I mean, you gonna watch. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's individual.
It's basketball.
Few games.
Yeah.
It's individual players we like.
Right.
No, we gonna tune in to see Giannis.
Right.
Put a good show on.
Right.
We're tuning in to see John Wall.
Embiid and Ben Simmons.
Philly will get a draw. Boston.
Right.
But think about
Other
it.
than that.
But think about it. NBA, and I'm not saying the ratings are gonna go down, but people already like, okay, Golden State in the finals. So that's it. Like, people already like Golden State in the finals. So it's crazy. And you know what's funny? David Stern. If David Stern was the commissioner, DeMarcus Cousins would not have signed with Golden State.
Think you would have shot that down?
Oh yeah.
I think
He shot Chris Paul deal.
When he was supposed to go to the Lakers.
Oh yeah, he shut that down. Ain't none of that. No, it's come through.
would have shut that down.
That's come through. I mean, it makes it like, I mean, they get major injuries. Who's beating Golden State? Come on, man. I mean, they getting there again. I mean, that's the thing about it. And in the East, it's a coin toss. And right now, Boston is the home run favorite. And if Boston's healthy, it's Boston Golden State. Could possibly make for an interesting series, but but that's the thing. It's hard, man. And these guys are, I don't know if it's from the AAU world or what's going on. The competitive drive of these guys to compete against each other is not there. They're paying guys before they're ready. They're paying them off potential. So these guys have got a lot of money at 22, 23 years old, where winning championships, they're more concerned with being in good cities where they have some nightlife, some good restaurants. They're more concerned with hanging out with their buddy, coming up with handshakes. And you know what I mean?
You and Paul didn't have a handshake at all?
No, but me and Paul competed. That's the thing about it. Me and Paul wanted to beat the best. We wanted to see if we could bring a title to Boston. That's the difference. I just know our mindset and what our thought process is now. These guys do not have that same thought process. And like I said, DeMarcus Cousins, I hate that. He could have.
I'm with you, DeMarcus.
But he could have went to LA.
But you heard they said Magic and them weren't interested. They said they didn't want to wait on the guy because DeMarcus might not be ready to maybe Christmas, maybe January. So they didn't really want interest. And DeMarcus wanted somebody that wanted interest in him. It's like, he wanted some attention. right? Like, so they ain't really want to. They ain't give him a great offer like that. I don't think they showed that much interest. You heard that, Antoine.
My question is, if they doing all this joining up on the Western Conference, why are more players not joining together in the Eastern Conference? Like, why is the Eastern still like the JV conference and the Western Conference? Everybody just keeps top loading the Western Conference, going to Western Conference teams.
Yeah, that's hard to explain. I mean, certainly it kind of started last year
Nobody
when Jimmy
likes New
Butler
York.
got traded to Minnesota and Paul George got traded to Oklahoma City, and then Chris Paul was already there and then went to Houston. So it kind of just almost organically happened like
They're
that.
staying.
Why they staying over there?
Staying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Paul George just had an opportunity to leave. He stayed.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing for him, he was gonna stay and go to LA anyway.
So he was going to stay Western Conference either way it went.
Yeah, I mean, the LeBron going over there certainly, shifted it even more so to the Western Conference. I think it balances out, though. I think the East and the days when the Celtics and the Pistons and even MJ and things like that, I think it'll turn. It'll turn.
Yeah.
It happens like that. I do want to turn our attention to the big three, though, Antoine. That did roll through Chicago. Ice Cube and company took over the United Center, put on a pretty good show. I know Steven Jackson dropped like 28 in the game. Nate Robinson put in some work, hit a game winner, and I think you saw Rashard Lewis put in some work as well.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I think I texted you and told you, I said, man, this is really nice.
Okay.
Because I ended up going to the game. I wasn't going to go, and I ended up catching game 3 and 4. They do 4 games a night.
Yes, sir.
So I ended up catching game 3 and 4. But the setup, the concept, how hard the guys play, I was impressed. This is the first time I honestly could say, and you may think I'm joking, in 3 years that I was like, man, I might want to play again.
Okay.
It was like, that's how I felt. I felt the energy. And Chicago loves basketball, so they had a tremendous crowd. They had a great crowd, so that was exciting to see. But I enjoyed it. Ice Cube has a tremendous thing going on. You gotta, you know for a fact, the NBA is gonna probably buy this from him, and he's gonna make him a ton of money. But great showing by the guys. Definitely got to talk about, being able to see the guys I hadn't played with and seen in years.
Man, you saw Baron Davis and Al Harrington. It was like the old days.
Yeah, so you saw all these guys, man. Baron Davis looked terrific. Played incredible. I think Baron Davis had like 30.
I saw against Team Power. He played against Q and Corey
Yeah,
McGinn.
so just to watch those guys and, obviously to see the 2 Chicago guys, Quentin Richardson and Corey McGinn, still playing. You get that little itch, but this is great. To see it live and in person, great thing that Ice Cube has got going on. I think they may need a few bigger names and I hate to say bigger names, but, more fan related. I think, fans don't know Quintel Woods.
Oh, no.
And not to take anything from
No,
Quintel,
it's not a household name.
It's more guys that they don't know than they do know.
Okay.
And I think they got to get a few more bigger name guys, and they're selling out arenas. But
they had Iverson last year. It didn't work out.
But Iverson didn't really want to play.
Didn't work out. Ice Cube has said he always has tried to get Kobe. He's because Ice Cube, LA, big Lakers fan, but Kobe keep turning him down like, nah, man, it's not happening. It's not happening. But I think as the league, as you see it, and it got you excited, I'm sure other big names as they see this legit, right?
Oh yeah, when you go and you actually feel it, and you're around those guys, and actually impressed at the shape the guys in. Guys, it's not like nobody's not out there in shape. Big Baby looks like Big Baby that played in the league. I mean,
right.
Still, so I think that was the most impressive part. Like, it's not like they're putting a bad product on the floor. You're putting guys that seem like they took it very serious and got their bodies back in maybe not in the optimum shape that they were in when they played, but they're in good enough shape to play a game up to 50 and be productive and put a good show on.
Well, they had a Welcome to Chicago event hosted by Corey McGinn and Quentin Richardson, and we had a chance to catch up to those guys. Let's first hear from McGinn.
SouthSideHeat, Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker, please be joined by another Chicago area product, Corey McGinn. It was high school. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Can you play it like when it's over back to back? Because the thing is, it's probably like 8 and 8. It's probably like 16. That probably take us right to the end.
Yeah, you didn't have an interview with 12.
Right, but like some of it was us talking to each other. So I like chopped some of that part off. Like when it, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know what
You know what I'm saying? Like it was us shooting the breeze
Right.
before we got into the real
Before or
interview.
after,
So when I chopped that off, it was like 8-8, that sort of thing. So I mean, we could just see if we can go from him to them and then just be out.
I got you.
It'll be real tight, but I think it'll work though. I think it'll work.
What I say? I'll transfer it on to the computer.
All right. I mean, if we got to get out, we got to get out. That happens in radio too. We got to get out. We got to get out.
It's fast, it's quick acceleration movements that you gotta really prepare your body for. And sometimes you really don't expect. And so I really try to work on
Rob, can you turn out
that.
just a little bit since that thing's low?
Last year I played a lot of 5-on-5 golf, thinking that there was
For the
really
Facebook?
help, but I used the half board, being able to get quick motion where the ball is coming and being right into attack mode, running like basically a pistol play, being in cutoff screens. That's what I really worked on, but it was.
So you saw this game, power, and the game after that? Okay. Yeah, no, Baron Davis put in work. McGetty put in work too.
I probably complained about that. White Chopper shut it down. He's a big name. People know Jason Wayne.
What happened for him? He was on his
Got hurt.
last year.
First game.
Yeah, why he didn't come back?
Towards
Like McGetty.
shit. Motherfucker, quality of life. He tried towards.
He's like, I'm good, man.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it ain't worth it, bro. It ain't worth it.
Well, first of all, I think Ice Cube is doing it, and Jeff Quanz is doing a great job of actually giving guys another opportunity like that basketball.
Right, he in the background.
Your competitive spirit never stops.
I've heard that name. Yeah, I heard that name.
He might be another
Cube like the face of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sweat every time.
The Jeff Bond.
Big with some rock.
Yeah, right. I've heard Cube say his name too though.
Yeah, I heard you say
Silent partner type.
Yeah.
But also,
I mean, you need one. It was one somewhere.
just announce it.
Huh?
You knew it was
Oh
one
yeah,
somewhere.
it can't just be all Cube. I know you paid in full and all
Right, but
that
not like that.
Yes, so the Olympics is picking up. So now that actually even validates more the degree.
for the ex-players or for the current NBA players.
So now, what Jeff and Cube is trying to do is to present this to FIBA. And so now when you have guys, if it's current,
That's crazy if they make it in the Olympics.
or
That's crazy if they make it in the
you
Olympics.
know that FIBA only deals with the 5-on-5. Right? And so those 5-on-5 guys are eligible to play, but not.
You watched like all 3 parts on the Paul George like announcement or whatever. You watched that?
When we talk to Quentin,
I ain't
he
seen
said this game
I
is
haven't seen
physical.
any.
Like guys are taking it serious. It's not
Okay, I
like
think
the
I can say that on
NBA is
YouTube or
now
something
where it's
like that.
kind of soft. Like guys really getting after it, talking trash. Again, the action and the physicality. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, I would say, and this even back in Antoine's era, and I played in his era too, where now it's more hand checking. The refs are letting stuff go. It's actually like almost playoff basketball.
Okay.
At every point. And
I don't know if they get caught right now, bro. I think they might have to wait a year.
But also, too, it's like a catch-21. You don't want it to be too physical. When you get out there, you want to fight. But I think they've done a great job of really kind of policing the league. You got a lot more trash talking at the school. And then also, too, is, now guys, you got to guard. You can't hide. If 5-on-5,
Yeah, right.
you can hide.
Your boy Trey Young going 4 for 20 and
He been garbage in some of them. He been garbage in some of them.
sheesh.
Now you got
No, man.
basketball, and asking all the guys this just because it's a hot topic. I'm pretty sure you answer it every day with phone call. But what you think about this Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, the scenarios that's going on with those guys?
Well, first off, I think that, everyone is trying to compete with Golden State, right? They have their signature guys with Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green. And if you don't have anybody that's comparable to that type of team, you're going to struggle. The only team that I've seen this past season that had a chance.
James, are you independent or working with Chris Turner?
Yeah, but then again, now if you can get LeBron James,
That's not your
which
company.
is a player who's unbelievable, you know this, but he needs help. He can't do it by himself.
I said this earlier.
I was thinking maybe
James Harden said
we get
that
a
they find a way out to sign Chris back.
write an article on what
I mean, they got some
guys
other
talked
things
about
that
too.
seven to create.
Whole
Clement
sack.
Capella has to get signed.
Yeah.
But it sounds like James Harden is not
maybe-
being welcomed.
Then maybe we do that follow up that we were talking about.
You just said, I think,
Come back
for James Harden, he's an MVP, right? He feels that he can carry his team.
And then it allows for what you've been
blame
doing.
him in that fact of, all right, we got to go out and solicit for LeBron James. But what I would do if I was Houston James, I would be soliciting for Paul George. I would be soliciting for Kawhi Leonard. Because you need somebody out there that can score, but that can play
You know,
defense.
they want
James Harden not doing that.
He's already.
James Harden not doing that at all.
There you go again.
You
Now
are-
you want to get in the
Hey, I
feel like
He
Harden.
loves the show, so
You do?
he.
Stop
He
it.
MVP. I mean,
You don't play with
If
people.
you could average 30,
Or maybe even maybe once a month, 30 minutes.
Give him a pass.
Take a,
two
talk
assists,
about
two
the
steals.
financial
I mean,
aspect.
I would get a man a pass. I gotta give him a pass. Like, this is a
You
score-
from
this
the
is-
shot.
I know
Mike ain't
this
do
is-
that.
This is a scoring league. You're right. Mike didn't do
He
that.
played both ends.
Mike
He
played
was
both
defensive
ends.
player of the year at one point.
I totally agree. But I think now in this league, when you that much of a dominant scorer,
So this show
that they give him a pass. Like, Juan, you know this. If this was 10 years ago, 10, 20 years ago, ain't no way James Harden gonna be playing. Right. Ain't no way. They're playing a little bit, but they're gonna play back.
You need to get effort on both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm not. He go hard at Harden. I give him a pass.
I give him a pass.
You know what I mean? He get mad if I don't get Steph Curry a pass. So that's why he go back. Get Steph Curry.
He get on Steph Curry D, so I get on James
But I
Harden.
think you see both those guys, right? You look at them. They not the best.
He might not get there.
That's
It's
when
351.
I play, I wouldn't have been.
Gonna be tight.
This league now is totally
That's why
different.
Drew
You can be really a lackluster defender.
Yeah.
It's now or never to use. So I'm going to use Q next week.
Prolific as a scorer, Steph Curry, that prolific as a shooter. And listen, if he stopped me, if I get a man and give him 2 points, Steph Curry gonna give you 9 back.
Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang.
I don't know how else you get to come home, but what I'm doing man, like, just touch a little bit how your trip been. I mean, to get back home. I don't know if you came in today or you came in
I
last
came here
night.
yesterday, man. It's always good coming back home, man. This is the roots. This is where I started. I remember back when I was a young dude playing at Hoops Gym down the street against you, Michael Jordan, Scotty, all these guys.
Someone said, wasn't Antoine part of the super team somewhat in Miami?
A few years ago, they moved to Florida. They got out of coach, and now they joined the Heat. But I mean, again, man, this is where it all started, man. This is where I
How many All-Stars?
I didn't grow up playing basketball. I started off playing baseball. I went to track.
Erica Jordan from the event from Big Three said thanks again.
And so to see what basketball has done for me in the city, to play against the best players, basically I say of all time, the most competitive, and it's always great to play for.
No help, no shit, no.
No, bro.
This coming up to the end.
When you almost 40, I can't eat that, man.
Body dog.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, yesterday I almost got me some Popeyes and some McDonald's. I was like, man, hold on, man. I need to be ready to play. But, man, I'm telling you, with all season, I'm definitely coming back and getting some McDonald's pizza for sure.
We gotta let you go. Corey McGay, we appreciate you hanging with us on the Southside Heat.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Southside Heat, Clement Townsend, Antoine Walker. Please be joined by a guy who is the pride of the Southside. Quentin,
It's going to go like to like
first
4.
of all, talk to us about this nice event, welcoming some of the other big 3 players to the Windy City.
You know, man, me and Corey just got together and said we want to, bring the guys in, Chicago style. Corey, a.k.a. Mike Lowry.
Okay, Mike Lowry.
He'll be here, and he will be stunning.
Yes.
You know how he do. He can. I got dressed up at the party. He said, no, I got to shoot back. I'll be right there though. So when he come in, I know he gonna flap up in here.
Looking dapper. This is your first year with the Big 3. What interested you about the league, and why did you want to be a part of what they have going on?
The biggest reason for me, man, first I still got some game left.
That's
That's
right.
first. I feel like I still got something left in the tank. Otherwise, I wouldn't get out here at all. But the main reason, bro, is because my kids ain't just see me hoop. When I was playing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I hadn't had one of my kids. I had my stepson. He got to see me a little bit in Orlando at the end. But my daughter and my youngest two boys, they ain't got to see me.
They don't know nothing about this right here.
No, nothing
They don't know nothing about that right there.
Hey, look, I'm not going to show it to them out here, but,
I'm too old to be still doing that.
I know you're only 2 weeks in though, but what's like, what would you say what's good about the league? Like you happy that you did just so far?
Man, the best part is like you really underestimate, like, cause like last year when I was watching, I'm sitting there like, man, I feel like I can get off the couch right now and jump out of there. But you underestimate, like I've been working out since December, January, getting ready for it. When I knew I was gonna do it, like I started working out. You know, I know how to prepare for training camp, whatever. You ain't ready for that pace. You know how it is when you first get to camp, it's nothing like no matter how much you ride a bike, how much you run, you get out there and you start getting heated, you going, then you think about like this, it's a 16-second shot clock. The pace is relentless. It's only 2 timeouts per half. Everything else is just go. Hurry up and sprint, clear the ball, go. So it's like, it's coming at you.
So
It's
it's
hard.
more competitive than you thought.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
like, I would say that too. That's crazy that you trained since December. That's like one of the biggest things. Like, I think this year compared to last year, because I watched a lot last year, it seems like the guys from last year are in better shape.
They know because they've been through.
Like, it seems like a lot of guys that took, a lot of this was like, when you get into good shape,
Real talk.
so it's a real move.
And that made me go out and like initially, like this is my first time, but that made me like really go at it because I'm talking to Corey, talking to Catino, and they're like, yo, it's gonna be like for real. It's gonna be like, man, I was winded last week. I was winded, bro.
And half court to 50.
I don't know if he scored.
Winded.
I don't know if he scored.
Gotta get them legs back.
I gotta get my legs. I was doing leg day this Tuesday.
Yeah.
Trying to get right.
Of course, you're looking forward to being here in the shot in front of the home crowd. Outside of Chicago, what city you looking forward to? You looking forward to going to the MIA? You played, in Miami, stay in Dallas. Where you looking forward to going? Because Antoine always talk about the MIA.
That's like to say,
Hey.
don't answer that question like, we used to answer that question back in the day.
That's what I'm saying. But for me, I had to answer that question earlier. Like for me, like even coming home, everything is completely different.
Okay.
Like I don't do half the stuff I used to do. Like now that I'm there, like I ain't going to nobody's club. Like when I go to Miami,
Man, what you call
it'll
it?
be
What's
a
up
great
with that guy
night.
trying
I'm
to get
probably
the,
go to Prime
the
112, hang out with my agent,
Trying to get the logo.
do good things,
Yeah,
smoke
trying to
cigars,
get
get
the
real
logo.
grown. He got like good cognac and good wines. Like that's like stuff I do now.
I tell you what,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't got look. I got my wife. I got my folks.
On the real.
I
I'm ready
love
to make
with
things
my
move
life.
on this t-shirt.
Yeah, it's so drama free, bro. When you come to all of that, I don't partake in anything. You won't never catch Too Rich on the gram or somebody on the gram or the Twitter talking about Too Rich. No, you won't.
So this is the second time around.
Second time around. This is my kid.
This is the second time around.
Right.
Now, let me ask you, you say your kids, so are you bringing your kids along every day?
No, they here in Chicago. They won't be in every trip, but they'll be in Miami because that's a quick drive up.
Okay.
But like, probably this in Miami will be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Traveling with them?
Great. They're youngsters.
Bruh, 3 car seats, double stroller,
Right.
I'm cool.
I think you got the move. So you
Right.
4, 2,
They
and 1.
You can't travel with them.
You still changing
Hey.
diapers for sure with the
On the
water.
plane.
2 years
On
old.
the plane.
Yeah. You missed the league though? Missed the NBA playing?
You want to come back at 59 and do it out? Or
Huh?
just you want to come back at 59 and do it out? Or just let it ride?
Like my first 2 years, I was doing director of player development with the Pistons, so literally
It's
I'm
like,
traveling
yeah,
around
it's
all
like
the
faded
games.
at 59.
Last
Now,
year,
like
I
Southside
did,
Heat. We'll be back next
coach
week.
out.
Yeah.
So even though I wasn't, I moved back to Orlando, but I still went to like all the Magic home games. I still traveled to Detroit 3 different times. I still went on 2 different road trips with the team. So it's like, I'm really still been in it. Even though I'm not playing, but it's still like been in a big brother role, mentor type role, OG type role. So I've been loving that aspect, just trying to, stay a part of it. Even if it's on a peripheral, doing media or whatever. As long as I'm in, I'm cool.
Do you think like this got legs? And what I mean by that, now, same 1 week, you see how operation go. Do you think this is a league that's gonna go on for 10, 15, 20 years?
I think eventually the NBA will buy the big 3, and it will be a big deal. I think whenever they will combine or however you do it, and it'll be like the D League, the big 3, the NBA. They'll have like it's becoming an Olympic sport. That gives validity, value to it, and it makes it, a serious deal. And then it's like when you look at the product, it's gonna continue. And the way it's going now, we getting pushed out earlier than than when we were. It's like guys not gonna continue to have 18, 19, 20.
Well, let me ask you a question.
That does it for the Southside Heat. We appreciate you listening. As always, we'll be back here with you next week, bringing that fire.